13th, 2010. That will be my motion. I need a second.
I will second.
Questions, concerns, changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item will be the Oak Avenue Sidewalk Survey. As you know, we did a survey. We sent 69 certified letters out with 64 owners responding and the results of the survey. 5 owners did not respond. We did go after several people to make sure, reminded them last week, the police department sent the CSO out to make sure everyone at least submitted their petitions. There was nothing said vote for them or vote against them from the police department at all. They just wanted to give every opportunity for people to respond. So whoever did not respond at the list that we had at one time, the CSO did go out to those people and ask them to respond to it because there was a deadline. Following results came in, 39 voted favor for the sidewalks, 25 against. 5 owners did not respond. So, and I know there was a lot of debate on here, and we decided to go this route because there was so many petitions going around. So as of right now, it is in favor to go forward with the sidewalks. Does council have any comments, concerns? Don, do you have anything? Okay. I normally don't do this. But does anyone want to address us tonight? It's a committee meeting. The vote came in that the sidewalks are going in. We did it officially that way, for there was no problem. So does anyone want to address it?
Yeah, I'd like to say one thing. My name's Ian Don Fisher. I live at 382 North Oak. I'd just like to say, it's good the way you guys did this, asking everybody in the neighborhood rather than just forcing it on somebody. That's the way things should be handled. We are the people, and we vote you guys in, and we vote you guys out. So, thanks.
No problem. Anyone else?
My name is Jenny Kodak, and I live at 308 North Oak. And I just was very, very happy with the letter that went out explaining the tax situation, the tree situation. And I don't think you could have done a better job. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll obtain a motion to move forward with installing sidewalks from Irving Park Road to Elmhurst on Oak Avenue from Irving Park Road to Elmhurst. That is my motion.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on agenda will be report recommendation pay request number 2 for Apollo Trenchant Incorporation, amount of $59,550 for the Cedar Avenue Sanitation Sewer Replacement Projects. As we know, this was a pretty decent contractor that did it. Any concerns, questions? Mr. Nuzio, please.
I don't know who's going to answer this, John or Dave. I see here additional restoration of turf grass that was encountered during the project, $4,500. I mean, the contractor, what? They did some extra damage and we're paying, or?
No, unfortunately, where this sanitary line was located, it was in the rear easement between all of those homes. So in order for us to gain access to do our test pits, to pull that line, burst that line into place, we had to go to more spots than we originally, when we identified the project, than we thought. We had some structures to go through. In doing that, we encountered a lot of fences, sheds, gardens, so it caused the contractor to have to go into more areas for us to do the job that we wanted, plus grading those areas out. So there was a little more work than we had anticipated when we bid that project. So the contractor was very understanding in doing that.
All right.
Mayor Johnson?
That did catch my attention, the 51,000 for fences and landscaping on a $174,000 job. That's several rear yard fences and,
I believe there was 4 fences in total that was replaced, and there was a significant amount of landscaping work pretty much to addresses on either side of the rear easement running
well,
through.
that raises another question. That's $7,000 per fence?
I didn't have the itemized fence. When they broke out the price for us, they didn't come through and let us, and give us an itemized tabulation. I can go back and see if I can get that from Apollo when they originally bid the job, but when they gave it to us, it was just in one bulk price, and then they broke it out on this bill.
If there's only 4, if you could double check that between now and when it goes to the council, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
And then the second follow-up question I have, when we do this kind of work, if there's a rear yard swale, do we also re-put in the swale?
Correct. We established the existing grade that was there. That was part of the
Existing or put what should have been the rear yard swale from when the subdivision was approved?
We put in what was existing when the contractor found it. No, we did not go back in and find any swales perhaps that had been filled in along the way from when they were originally done, when the subdivision was formed. No, we didn't do that. We just did the existing, when the contractor came on site, the existing grades that were there. They mirrored.
And I raise that as a policy question going forward. When we do these kind of projects in the rear yard, should we, as part of the project, determine was there originally set up with rear yard swales, and then should we reinstall what was designed originally? That could be a discussion for a future meeting, but I raised the issue.
Okay. The only thing is, our engineer did engineer work on this project too. I agree, we need to look at that. Let's bring that up in my next committee meeting or something, we discuss that, okay? So, that will be my motion to approve, subject to the information, Mr. Luton.
John, could you give me the addresses of the new fences that cost $7,000 apiece?
When I include that in my memo for the council meeting, I'll have that information for you.
I see
Fences, the
people from
addresses,
that section of the city who live there shaking their heads sitting here in the council right now.
Okay, I will get you that information for the fences that were moved, replaced, removed, and the addresses in which they were from.
And so they're not probably 7,000 each, 6, 5, 8. They get breakdown and what kind of material they used, and what do they do with the fences that they removed?
The old fencing, I can get you that information as well, whether they recycled that material.
Because I'll tell you, I remember from last summer, we had a lamp out there in the alley putting in new concrete, and they came across a fence that was old and that needed to be removed. They contacted the owner, got his permission, removed it, put down asphalt over where the fence had been. In other words, they beautified it more than it was before they came, and they didn't charge anything extra. They absorbed the cost of the demolition, and I saw the guy wrap up the fence and put it on a truck. So what's our position if one contractor does it for free or assumes he has enough profit and loves the city's work enough that he does that wrap-up work? And we have another one that adds $7,000 per fence. That's a big difference in attitude. I think we should look into that. Thank you.
Alderman Short.
Yeah, did this company go out and take a look at this before they bid on it?
Correct, they did walk the site with staff prior to.
And, you know, change orders, I understand from some engineers are oftentimes a way to get more money. If he walked it and saw these things ahead of time, I don't understand why this would be a legitimate change order. If he saw all this beforehand, why wasn't that included in the bid?
Well, seeing it beforehand and actually getting in and pulling those pipe across through those rear yards and having to get to different points along the way to pull to those manholes and having them to have to actually bring the equipment in there, seeing it beforehand and actually doing it, I can understand that there is some additional amount. If they thought they could get in from one point and they couldn't do that, and because we weren't granting them an easement to work in, they had to actually physically go on to private property to get onto those areas. That's where that increase comes from the change order. And again, I did not approve the change order. I'm coming to the committee with the change order. This is being asked by the contractor. Staff did not approve this. This was brought about towards the end of the project during when restoration was being completed.
The second bidder, were they within that amount of money? That 4,500? Do you remember, do you recall what the original bids were?
I don't have the original bid tabulation in front of me. This contractor was 174,000. I believe the next closest was 185,000. It was $10,000. Was the break between the two?
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussions? Okay. Alderman Luton?
The other issue that the mayor brought up, which I hadn't thought about, was returning the swales to the condition they were. In that area, we do have some flooding that wasn't there before from the shifting of, from the decision of a home builder to elevate his land by a half a foot, creating water accumulation downstream from his house. If that would have gone back to the original swelling, we could have avoided one house from flooding. I think that I would certainly favor any vote that says to return the swales to their original condition and post a notice to the people not to change it.
Well, we're gonna take that up in future meetings.
Okay, well, right now,
Right now.
John's got a directive to go back and stop that flooding in the backyards of those who are flooding downstream from the raised property. You've talked about that to the people already, haven't you, John? Tonight, I saw you talking.
We can review those areas. We originally did not ask the contractor to go back in and establish any grades to what perhaps they may have been when those homes were originally built. That was not in their scope of work. Their scope of work was to return the grade to existing when they found it in the existing conditions when we asked them to complete that contract. If outside of this contract, if we need to look at those areas, then we would need to bring building department in with public works to look at those areas to alleviate any stormwater flooding in any private residents' backyards because we don't have an area back there to work within.
I think that should be brought to the manager's attention, and decision should be made from the highest level.
Actually, our engineers should be involved in it because it's an engineering problem.
I agree with you, Eugene.
So,
Thank you.
all right, anything else? There's a motion on the floor. There's a second.
Who seconded?
Is there a second? John second. On the questions, I'll do a roll call vote on this one.
What's the motion?
Motion to approve. Subject with all the information coming back in the next council meeting. Alderman Roy Wesley.
there was just some direction from the mayor to get some more information. So we're gonna make a motion to approve this without the other information?
We could cut it at council committee.
Okay.
We always done this in the past and brought back to council. If his findings come back the way they may come back, then, so we have always done this in the past. So, take a roll call vote on this.
When it comes to the council.
Alderman Shockey,
No.
Alderman Eugene Wesley,
Yes.
Alderman Cadella,
Yes.
Alderman Police,
Yes.
Alderman Roy Wesley,
No.
Alderman Lewitton.
No.
Mayor, you don't vote, right? Well, it passes, it goes to council.
Fails.
It failed. Tie, so
Still goes to council, right?
it'll go to council, so. Without recommendation. Good. Item number 6. Report and recommendation contract award to Concord Construction Incorporation, amount not to exceed $108,700 for the wastewater treatment plant convoy expansion. I believe this is the outfit that takes away our stuff, right, John?
No, this is actually a mechanical piece of equipment.
Okay.
In looking at our treatment plant back 2 years ago, we decided to change the way the conveyor structure works for the sludge. As it comes off the belt press, dewatered sludge goes through the belt press, takes the water out of the actual sludge material, comes through a conveyor into a garage at the current North Plant location, and dumps into a truck. That truck then has to be pulled out of that garage, backed into one of the 8 sludge bays, dumped, and then it dries before Sinagro comes, picks it up, and land applies the sludge. Kind of a quick overview of how the whole operation works. What this proposing conveyor would do it will take that sludge material, no longer dump it in a truck, it'll actually dump it in the area where the drying beds are, so it can be moved out with a machine, eliminating the need for that truck to be parked at that facility when we're doing sludge operations. That truck also goes down the South Plant basically to do the same operation at their sludge processing facility, and then drive it back to North Plant to dump in those drying beds again. So all this basically does is eliminate that step in having to have 2 vehicles, and we can run 2 operations, 2 sludge processing operations simultaneously.
And this was in the budget,
Correct, it was a budget item.
right? Alderman Cadell.
John, this operation is unaffected by all the different options of plans out there for the treatment plant renovation at this point?
Correct. There's no plans to remove the sludge processing facility. They may upgrade the belt press. There was talk about that. They were not going to remove this structure where this conveyor would be placed in, nor were they going to change any processes that would eliminate the process of sludge and having to use the belt press and the conveyor down the line. So yes, it will still be used times to come.
Louisville Police.
John, you just said there was some talk of possibly upgrading. When we're talking possibly upgrading, does that mean what we're just buying will be upgraded again in 3 years?
No, the conveyor is the third and final step of the processing of the sludge. The belt press at the beginning of it, that sludge material goes through a belt press to become dewatered. That's the process that is aged. I believe it's from the 60s. That may get replaced, but the actual end process, this conveyor taking that processed sludge overhead, that has no plans of being changed, nor the building that it's tied to.
And, can I continue?
Go ahead.
As far as the trucks that are, you say you're using one truck for the 2 plants?
Correct.
Is this truck dead and it's gotta go, or are we doing something else with this truck, or just taking it out of the fleet?
Basically, we'd still use that wastewater truck down at South Plant. That's pretty much where it will remain for the period of its time. There's 2 trucks at utilities wastewater. One's used for storm sewer, water, sanitary, removal, spoil hauling, et cetera. The other one is used for hauling sludge at both facilities. We are planning on replacing one of those trucks, so we're not increasing or decreasing the amount of trucks because basically we'll still have the same operations going on. All this is doing is eliminating that vehicle from being parked there all the time, allowing us to keep it at South Plant and run multiple sludge operations throughout the week. We do that now periodically if we can use both trucks from the facility, but it hampers us in the sense of, it allows us, 2 trucks are being tied up. So in order, if a main break, something happens, we need to haul spoil, we need to pull that truck out of that operation, stop sludge processing at that facility, and then respond.
Any other questions? So motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7 is this was a street light project, the ones that were down by post office, I believe, United Corporation, amount of $4,828.62. This is the final? My question to, did we look at those? Didn't someone bring up a point that the paint was chipping off, or are those the old ones?
No, those were the old ones, the chipping paint. These ones we actually had 2 walkthrough on these. An initial one, there was a small punch list, and then a final walkthrough after this. So these have all been thoroughly
So
inspected.
all the grass been replaced,
Everything's
everything's
Yes, everything's been
to
done.
go, and, okay. That is my motion to approve final payment, $4,828.62. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one opposed. Item number 8, report and recommendation, a contract award to CGMT Incorporation, amount not to exceed $18,140 for construction material testing on Elmhurst Street reconstruction project. This is a project that street being replaced on Elmhurst. This year, we did have the meeting with all the residents. This is ready to go, I would say within a month. So I would recommend testing material company, not the amount not to exceed $18,140. That is my motion.
Second.
Any questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Items considered future meeting, solar power lights. John Forrest,
He has more hair.
go ahead.
3 things. First, at the May 19th Stormwater Committee meeting, 2 recommendations were made. One is regarding pervious paving, which we'll be discussing tonight under another committee. Another recommendation that I'd like you to add to yours is a recommendation that the City Council contact the DuPage County and request that the county investigate expanding the Wooddale Itasca Reservoir. I can say that I have personally submitted that request in writing. I believe Mayor Johnson has also spoken with Tony Charlton on the subject. So for a future meeting, I would like maybe an opportunity for staff and council members in the know to get together and do a very quick presentation and maybe help find status on that, if it's even possible. Next is a subject that was discussed this evening, the rear yard swales. Well, the policy I think that we asked tonight to discuss is when we disrupt the land for other utility work to look into reestablishing. But I don't know what the council's desires on this are, and I don't know how we could possibly come up with the funding, but I do think we need to address the problem citywide. It's probably going to be a very, very long-term plan, but I don't think we can ignore it anymore. I'd like to investigate a policy to reestablish these swales everywhere over a period of however long it may take. So that's another item I would like to discuss. And lastly, the engineering, or I should say the topographical survey for Harvey, Forest View, Edgebrook, and Oakwood, which is going to ultimately result in the engineering concept for the complete reconstruction and hopefully reestablishment of all the swales on those 4 streets. I'd like to see those results and have staff do a brief presentation on where we're going to go with that project next. Thank you.
Okay. Did we, someone write that all down, because I didn't write it down quick enough here. Went too quick. Anyone else? Alderman Roy Wesley.
I just want to give a compliment to John Kramer's staff for the stuff they're getting ready for Memorial Day Parade. The Public Works guys were out there cutting the parkways, and the corners look great with the mulch and everything. I don't know, I think that was done in-house, and it's looking pretty good. Thanks.
Okay. Mayor Johnson.
As long as we have that lead into it, remind everybody of the Memorial Day Parade, which will be at 11 a.m., starting at the Wooddale Junior High and ending at the Veterans Memorial, with the service to follow at the Veterans Memorial. And then after that, everybody is invited to the VFW for lunch, courtesy of the VFW. And while I'm making public announcements,
I didn't
unless
see the
you wanna
mayor's
make-
report here, but go ahead.
There is no mayor's report on the agenda.
Okay.
but You want to handle the Relay for
No,
Life?
go ahead.
Also, we have the Relay for Life coming up at the Bensenville Wooddale, or Wooddale Bensenville Relay for Life on June 4th and 5th from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. at Fenton High School for the American Cancer Society. I think we have 1 or 2 teams from Wooddale.
We have one.
1 team?
Yep.
Okay. So encourage everybody to attend. Perhaps somebody who was there last year could say a few words.
Sure, Mayor. Think you won't be there, right? Oh, okay, thank you. Any other items?
I'm going to say a few words to the audience at home about the event.
Oh, yeah, it is, it is a very, it is a very good event. It is very touching of all the people that attend there. There's candles that are lit around the whole track. And then they, up in the bleachers, they put candles that says for hope. It is a very nice thing that they do, and they do raise a lot of money, no doubt about it. And it's for good cause, and I will be one of them that will be out there. And Mr. Nuzio Police will be one of them out there in the walking process in there. So it's a good, so I encourage whoever likes to come out and give us some support. Appreciate it. Okay, that's the end of my report unless anyone got something else. Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, we'll call to order the Planning, Zoning, and Building Committee meeting of May 27th, 2010. Will the minute taker please show all same members present? I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting from May 13th, 2010. Is there a second? On the question, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. First item here is a report and recommendation. A recommended addition, or maybe more accurately revision, to the Unified Development Ordinance, allowing an increase in lot coverage using permeable surfaces. I think that we began a discussion a couple of weeks ago with some good points brought forth by Alderman Shockey. Would you care to go over those, or would you like me to recap what you were concerned about, Alderman?
I'd be happy to let you recap,
Okay.
and if so, I'll add anything I need.
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think you were concerned that there's a rather rough texture to the poured permeable concrete, and that perhaps a builder or developer or owner in the beginning might think that the additional 5% lot coverage is excellent and it's worth the peculiar texture, and over time might tire of that and find ways to smooth it out, which would then create an impermeable surface. Your recommendation was that we perhaps to avoid that only allow pavers rather than poured. And my thoughts after thinking about this for a couple of weeks is that the same efforts might be put into smoothing out or even changing the pavers. I'm not convinced at this point, so I need anybody up here to help convince me that that only going with pavers is going to help ensure better possibility of people not tampering with it. Because I almost see that the fact that they're pavers, weekend warriors could, over a period of time, and as money allows, change those out, and we'd never know. So one thing I'm thinking about here is that perhaps in the ordinance, I'm not trying to whack residents for additional money, but I wonder if maybe there should be a fee involved with granting this additional 5%, which would cover staff's cost over a period of 5 or 10 years to go and do an annual checkup on these properties and make sure that they're still permeable. That may be more staff time than we can give, than perhaps council wants to direct staff to do. But that is the only way I could think of at this point to eliminate that possibility of owner tampering with the permeability. So if anybody has any thoughts on that or any strong objections, I'd like to hear it, because we want to give staff direction on how to move forward and finish this UDO. Alderman Eugene Wesley.
My question, John, is this the one that had a presentation with outside with the water?
Correct.
Here's my drawback. I did do some research on this after we had that presentation, and no one brought it, a staff member did not bring this to our attention at all. I guess what happens once sand gets into that, okay, it closes the moisture. It closes a hole, the pores.
Permeability?
Right. So my draw, and staff never pointed it out to us on the last meeting. But when I did some research on this, that is my concern now, because if they don't clean it, and according to the stuff that I looked at, they have to clean it every 2 years.
Correct. It's got to be cleaned, swept, blown off with a blower or something.
They were
like
saying that they might have to be, and I haven't got the papers in front of me, but they said you might have to use some chemicals or open it up and all that. But if we allow this, how is that? What if they decide not to clean it in the area? Then we got a flooding problem. I mean, I just don't. How do we address that concern now? And staff never